Welcome back. Last time we talked about the huge opportunity that exists right now in taking over profitable businesses. We discussed the process for buying a business and how that process differs from real estate, even though most people, including sellers and buyers and even brokers, think that they're similar. When you walk out the door of a home, the broker will usually ask you a question like, so what did you think about the house? Do you love it? Do you want to make an offer? And a lot of times we are expected to make a decision on kind of what we want to do with that. If we want to make an offer, if we want to put down a contract, and if we want to put earnest money down to take the deal off of the market. But when you walk out of the door of a business, from going in, talking to the owner, spending time with them, you look around and you walk out of that business, there's no way that you can immediately go to offer, or definitely not go to contract. Every decision you make and the work that you do from walking out of that door after you take a tour of the business, those decisions will determine if you end up closing on a deal that's the deal of your dreams and everything that you expected and wanted out of a business, or if you end up closing on an absolute nightmare, which is what happens to a lot of business buyers. Of course, we know from the last video, you can't make an offer at that point because you don't have enough information. And more importantly, you haven't seen what you're buying. And what you're buying is the cash flow. Before you can arrive at any intelligent valuation, at a minimum, you should at least kind of complete what I call a comprehensive review of the financials and perform a business valuation to establish what the fair market value is. An offer is a financial decision, and as such, requires financial information from the seller. When you're buying a home, it's a very adversarial process. It's basically win-lose because you're buying it at a certain price and you're probably never going to have to deal with that seller again. When you're buying a business, it must be cooperative. You have many owners that will come to you that care a lot about their business. And, they've spent years in that business. They've grown it. It's been a huge part of their lives. And at the end of the day, they would rather not hand it over to somebody that they don't like and don't trust. Plus, they're going to have to work with you. There's going to be some training involved. You don't buy a house and have to deal with the seller training you. In a business, you've got to work with that person. So you have to do what I call cooperative negotiation. Furthermore, we always want to have the seller provide some portion of financing on the deal. So that means they will definitely have to like, and more importantly, trust you. So it's not an adversarial type negotiation that happens, even though there are very key tactics that you can use to get a really great deal on a business and still have that seller excited and happy to not only sell to you, but to offer you financing. Now, when you compare that to buying a home, the seller is almost always 100% cashed out at closing. So the only thing you have to negotiate with the seller is the price. Other things like closing costs, repair allowance, really it just comes down to what the ending price is going to be. Those things are just another way to negotiate the price. When you're buying a business, the seller almost always has to participate in the financing. Even government-backed loans like SBA, they require the seller to do some owner financing. Sometimes I've seen deals where they want the seller to be on what's referred to as a full standby. And what a full standby means is that basically there are no payments made to the seller for about 3 to 5 years. And once the SBA or the lender has gotten a good portion of their money back, then the seller can basically start to get their money on the portion that they financed. When you're buying a home, you have this reasonable expectation when you call up an agent that the person on the other line has some requirement to protect you. and to provide you with valid information and to, basically have fiduciary responsibility with you. And that makes sense because realtors, even if they're representing both buyer and seller, are required by law to protect both parties' interests. When you're buying a business and you contact a business broker, he is not representing you and has no responsibility to protect you at all by law. In fact, most cases, the broker you will be contacting will be representing the seller. And he actually has a fiduciary responsibility to do whatever it takes to help his client achieve their goal, which is to sell the business. And his client is the person that he has that contractual agreement with, not you. People have lost fortunes because they did not understand this. They did not know how to deal with business brokers. And that's something that I'll cover later. But back to the houses. When we are buying a home and we contact the agent, you have that reasonable expectation and right expectation that the person is professional and trained and licensed. When you're buying a business, there is a much higher probability that the business broker that you contact is neither trained nor licensed than that they are licensed. And most states require no license or training whatsoever to operate as a business broker. Early on, when my staff was performing some research on this matter and looking for the brokers that we work with across the country, they were amused to find that in the state of Nebraska, they actually require a license to be a hay broker, but no license to be a business broker. Now, let's talk a little bit about financing. When you're buying a home, you are majorly concerned about the level of the loan interest rate. What is my interest rate going to be? Can I get a lower rate? Maybe I should talk to this other bank. But when you're buying a business, the interest rates really don't matter as long as at the end of the day, the business cash flows. If you don't have any of your own money in the deal, then you're using the seller's customers' money to pay your loan. So interest is a moot point if the business cash flows. When you're buying a home, everyone in real estate knows that it's incumbent upon you to qualify for the loan. It's all on you. Your credit scores, your income, your debt to income ratio, your down payment money, etc. When you're buying a business, the first loan qualifiers have to do with the business itself. It's the business's performance, not yours. If the business financials do not show enough bottom line profit to make the loan payments, it'll be tough to close that deal regardless of how strong the buyer's personal finances are. The lender wants to see that the business is successful, and your personal finances are a great bonus on top of that. But they know that if a business is losing money, it's going to be tough to get it to the point of profitability, which is why it's so tough to get startup business loans as opposed to buying an existing profitable businesses. Most business sellers think that just like in real estate, they don't have a role in the loan process. But, they're dead wrong. The business tax returns really rule the process and your ability to go out and get a loan. They are first and foremost in determining the loan approval and what amount, if any, will be approved. One of the things about real estate is when the property doesn't sell, the first thing the agent and the seller do, the agent will come in and have that tough conversation of, hey, we're not getting any bites on this. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to sell it. I think we need to lower the price. And, of course, the seller isn't very happy, but eventually they get the price a little bit lower. And that brings in more people at that lower price point. In business acquisitions, lowering the price most often does little to improve anyone's ability to buy a bad business. If the business performance doesn't justify a $200,000 loan, usually it's not going to justify a $175,000 loan or a $150,000 loan either. And The ability to close a deal is depending on what the business is doing. But it's not just the seller, it's not just the deal, it's also the buyer. The ability to close a deal is dependent on some of the buyer's skills and ability. A buyer's ability to match a deal with the right deal structure and get the right lenders to be a part of that deal is crucial. The more educated and the more experienced the deal maker is, the more likely they are to get really great deals. You know, they're going to crush the less experienced buyer every time. In business buying, it's the terms, not the price. So if you can adjust the terms, that will make the deal doable. And to do a deal the best way, you need a deal structurer or a deal maker. Those are the people that can come into the deal and help you get it closed. So if you're going out and you're looking to buy a business, you're looking to improve your skills as a deal maker, be sure to check out the link below and feel free to email me at ace@acechapman.com.